Presidents Fatima and Rue. If you missed that line, we said you can't see us because we aren't usually visible at this school, and apparently not heard either. You still can't see us.
You still can't see us. So
yeah,
this is our very first show at Hunter.
And probably our last, since this is like peak hijabi power. Also, we know you were hoping for a snow day, but the weather is not Islamophobic. So, there you go.
So, Rue, what is a hijab?
Well, Fatima, it goes by many names. Helmet, headgear, hat, but it's a head covering worn by some Muslim women in public.
Oh, so just a scarf?
Yes. Hi, guys.
Is that me walking towards me?
No, Fatima, that's Rihanna, our vice president, who will now perform Emerald Mosque by Raza Ali Hassan.
In the lull, the afternoon sun warms the limbs and fields. The flowers are quiet, their bright subdued by the green, while the mind wanders to the Emerald Mosque upon the hill, built around a flowing spring. The easy absolutions and ablutions in that mosque, where the spring water has been let loose to flow on the marble courtyards and inner chambers, across the geometric green tiled floors that cool the heels of the believers.
Guys, this may come as a shock, but Hunter MSA doesn't have a lot of members. Take it in. But luckily for us, other high schools do. So we went around New York and interviewed Muslim youth and our wonderful imam. Enjoy!
Imams means to lead the Muslim community into the masjid, how to pray daily 5 times prayer, and how to learn the Holy Quran. As a imam, like he's a community leader to lead the Muslim community to run proper way about religion and to fulfill the duty of Islam, also to fulfill the duty of the neighbors as a human, because as a human we have some responsibility to know what is the responsibility as a human. There are many Muslims are coming from overseas, especially Bangladeshi, Indian, Pakistani, and Arab also, and some African. It's open for everyone. Anyone wants to come to the mosque? Yes, our door is open for everyone, all the humanity. Yes, we have classes. If something happened into the world, like a hurricane, something will happen in the Myanmar, that time we used to raise fund. Only one time during the Friday, we used to raise fund, and we gave that fund with the authentic organization by the check, the masjid checks. Like last time for the Myanmar, we collect like $2,000, and we gave that money to the Nabik, one of the authentic, approval charity non-profit organization.
Well, our school doesn't have a large Muslim population. I mean, when I was younger, that felt a little odd because, you know, we'd be making Christmas cards and Daddy would be like, that doesn't really apply to me, but I still made one anyway.
What it is so we both went to the same middle school. So I've been in the same school with her for like 12 years. In middle school, we went to primarily white in the school, and we kind of like some of the only jobs. And you just feel different, and people are judging you. Literally, like on the first couple days of school, this lady, like she was like, "Oh my God, you're the first of your kind that I've seen." I was like, "Oh my kind." So that was in middle school, and like we didn't realize that it was like a bad thing that was happening. We just kind of felt out of place, but didn't know why. But then you come here and you're like, you find this place to immediately fit in because there's so many people that are like you, and you realize like back then, like we're the only one of your kind. Like in the school full of a lot of like people, or like not of your kind. So it kind of feels like really good to be able to kind of fall back. It's just like you would never understand it.
Assalamualaikum from Brooklyn Tech MSA.
Hi, assalamualaikum. My name is Davisa, and I'm a senior at Brooklyn Technical High School. And what I love about my MSA is somewhere we could go for our safe haven, where we could like hang out with people that became family over the past few years.
So my name is Samiha, and I'm the Public Relations Coordinator for Brooklyn Tech MSA. What I love about MSA is that we're not just like yeah, we're together primarily because we want to learn about Islam, because we care about like being Muslim and that identity. We take that to like amplify ourselves and do other things, like create like social change, like change the like space of the school, and I think that's really beautiful.
I like the fact that there's a sense of equality between women and men that people don't necessarily see, especially if you look at like a country like Saudi Arabia, who women don't have as much rights. But I think that you just have to like be a Muslim to understand that like there's actually is equality between women and men in Islam. Within the religion.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Sadia, and I'm one of the co-presidents of Brooklyn Tech MSA. And I love Brooklyn Tech MSA because when I came in as a freshman, I was kind of like really lost and stuff, didn't find my community and where I wanted to be, like she said, like a family. And then coming into MSA, you find a place where you're like, we're like children of immigrants, so we don't really like fit in anywhere, especially because we're Muslim, and like to find a place where you find people that are just like you and lost just like you and trying to figure their way out just like you, and then also people who can educate you about Islam, but also like guide you to new places that are outside of Islam as well, so like socially, culturally, everything. So like MSA is kind of like my network to like the outside world and stuff like that. It's taught me a lot about leadership, taught me a lot about friendship and staying up late and working for things so that other people are happy about it. So yeah, it's a big part of my life.
So, how do you guys tell each other apart? Rue, I like dressing the way I do, but following all the guidelines of how Muslim women should dress is so tiring.
I know. Honestly, the most annoying one is always having to match your hijab with another piece of clothing on you. It's so oppressive.
I don't think it says that in the Quran.
Sure it does.
Where?
It said it in the Spark Notes version.
This is why you're failing English.
Okay, no, I'm failing English because I can't hear through my hijab.
Okay, Rue, you need to get wise.
Sorry I couldn't hear you.
WISE, the Women's Initiative for Social Empowerment. The organization focuses on helping Muslim women leaders collectively pursue social change. In fact, they can tell you all about it.
Faith is a very important thing for me. Islam is a huge part of who I am and what I do every single day. For me, my spirituality provides me with the right intentions and the right motivation for the work that I do. When I was younger, living in New York City, I faced an incident of violence, and it was because I was visibly Muslim. And so I felt the need to start a space and create a program where other young Muslim women can come and feel safe and feel like they have a community. I founded WISE, which is a women's initiative for self-empowerment, when I was 17 years old in Queens, New York. And that goes also back to like your confidence piece, which is like you can't do anything really unless you believe that you can have that impact, right? Today, WISE is a social entrepreneurship, leadership, and self-defense organization for young Muslim women. Okay, is everyone holding two different hands?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now we have to get out of this. It's really all about empowering other people so they feel like they have the tools, the skills, the resources to be able to make a difference.
Yeah, I force myself to wear it every morning because if I don't wear this, none of the other girls will have a chance.
I feel like especially as a Muslim, going a first generation Muslim, because both my parents are immigrants, they sort of forced their religious beliefs on us, because especially back then, they grew up learning that you had to pray 5 times a day, you had to read Quran all the time. They had a Quran class at school, but at our school we don't have one. So it's more of like, you're American, but you still have to respect your religious and Islamic values.
When I was younger, I actually felt like I was forced to be Muslim. I was forced to do this. I was forced to pray. Because like my parents would constantly tell me do this, do that. That was because I didn't know what Islam meant. I didn't know what the Quran actually said. After a while, after I got into high school, actually, like when I started learning about Islam myself, when I started learning like hadiths, I started learning like a lot of different things. I realized like Islam is like one of the most freeing, liberating, like she said, religions in the world. Like it elevates us to a level that's like
Higher than we can achieve by ourselves.
Definitely. I mean, sometimes.
I've definitely had students come up to me and tell me that like Muslims are barbaric and stuff like that, and just like, or like Islam is a terrible religion, or Islam's un-American, and I'm like, look, that's just not true.
Although we grew up in New York City, and it's kind of one of the most diverse like places in the United States, there are times where like people come up to us, and like I was walking into the train station one day, and they were like, this guy came up to me and he was like, tell ISIS that we want them out, and I was like, wait, what? Who? Where? Yes, I'm gonna call them like, hey, yeah, it's always train stations. It's never out in public where everyone can see you. It's just like,
It's always someone passing by making a comment.
When I was in 10th grade, I used to volunteer at the Elmer's Hospital, which is located in this area. And one day I was caring for a patient and I was connecting with him. I was talking to him about his life story. So he said that his homegirl actually had pushed a Muslim into the train tracks. And hearing that at the time in that clinical setting was really disturbing.
It also come from people, kids at school are always like make jokes.
yeah, like, ha ha ha, Allahu Akbar, bomb.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, that's offensive, don't say that.
Let's see. Well, just today I was talking to one of my friends in class, and she was talking about how, her mother and her sisters tell her, why do you have to wear the hijab and stuff around? And they're like, because they don't wear it themselves because they're kind of afraid that, you fit in better if you don't wear a hijab. You have less of a chance of getting attacked and stuff like that. But she still, is adamant and she wants to wear her hijab. And she was saying, just the other day, she was walking outside with her mom, going to a store or something, and this man literally comes up to her and starts, whispering, curses in her ear. And, no shame, he just, says it, right in front of her, and her mom started to cry, even though her mom is the one wearing the hijab and her mom is the one that's being attacked, just to see it. And even though, her mom thought she was safe, she doesn't wear a hijab, but then it happens to people that are close to her, and, you're not really safe anywhere, so kind of, it's not and it's not even a one-time thing, so, she could say, oh, this happened to me the other day, and, so many Muslim people who are visibly Muslim can say, it happened to me the other day, and it happens very common.
What mode of transportation do you take to school? Bus, train, magic carpet?
Magic carpet, believe it or not.
For the most part, what you can do is educate yourself, because the media is intent on making Muslims look like go hang out in the park and like, you know, finish our homework on time and all that stuff that regular people do. So like, just get to know Muslim and you realize that, you know, they're really good people and they're like, they give a lot of charity, you know, they pray all the time, they look out for each other and like, you know, all the regular stuff. And it's just like, people don't get that message across in the media, but you know, if you really get to know one yourself, then you'll realize that media is nothing like what Muslims are really like.
Just don't understand why these Muslims can't just tell ISIS to stop.
Pardon?
Well, you know, because they don't weed out the bad ones themselves, we have to secure and patrol their neighborhoods for them.
Are you just quoting part of Ted Cruz's Twitter? What are you trying to secure besides your own ignorant views about the world? What do you want them to do? Call ISIS like some part of some Muslim hive mind?
Yeah, whatever.
I may not practice Islam, but I know that it is more than just a religion. It is the culture of a people. It is a lens through which 1.8 billion people see the world, and every single one of those perspectives is valuable. By ignoring these people, you not only perpetrate ignorance and racism, but something worse, negligence. For every Muslim that ISIS takes, and that you stay silent, you are the one amplifying terrorism. You give these terrorists a platform, but not Muslims. So why don't you just tell ISIS to stop?
Actually, you know how there's two different types of Muslims, Sunni and Shia? There are a lot of Sunni people, but there are not as many Shia people. But we actually were exposed to 2 Shia people last year, so we saw a difference in practices. We learned that even though like the way we interpret the religion is different, the way we practice it, we're still practicing it to the same God. So we realized through that, like, whether or not you're Shia, whether or not you're Sunni doesn't make a difference. It's the fact that at the end of the day, you're obeying what it says in the Quran.
How do you shower, eat, breathe, see, smell, hear, and live with a hijab?
Okay, there's actually like a really special store where I go and I get specialized shampoo that I can wash my hijab with so that I never have to take it.
Like especially a lot of brown people, first generation, or people who come as immigrants themselves, they don't hold on to religious values. But then once they have kids, inshallah, once like any of us, our generation, people in high school right now has kids, they won't hold on as much because they feel like, because once you enter America, it's like sort of a loss of like your strength into your culture, because like you can't keep religion and school at the same time, you can't balance it at the same time. So I think that like losing your religion is going to be something that's a problem, but I feel like the ones who turn out to have such a strong faith in religion in the end will be the true worshippers or believers. But I think like that's a problem that's oncoming, but we'll solve it.
I feel like if you are able to raise your children not correctly, but like in a way where they
proper,
Islamic or like brown, like,
and some things you have to let go of, like culturally, like you
there's
don't
things
live
that
like we live here in America. Culture shifts over time, but religion is timeless.
yeah, definitely.
People that do care about that and are scared of it will be the people that actually keep the culture alive and like make sure that their kids keep up with it and stuff like that. I feel like, you know, for us definitely, we're like the second generation of that because ourselves, like we're Bengali, but then we can't read or write Bengali. So we can speak it like we can speak it enough to like get along, but then we can't read or write it. So already we're starting to lose part of that culture. So we are kind of like scared of it.
Looking at my sisters and myself, I feel very strongly about diffusion. My oldest sister is extremely religious, extremely connected to her cultural background, and then my middle sister is somewhat religious. She dresses modestly, she stays very connected to her roots, and then there's me, who was born in New York City, and I'm very Americanized, I would say, and not very religious or connected to my culture much.
Culture versus religion is an issue that people don't know as much about, because culture, first off, is different than religion. Religion is as dictated in the text, or in the Quran or whatever text you like respect or go you believe in. But then culture is the way how it's the traditions or the customs that people who practice that religion do. So for example is probably like the food that you eat on Eid. It's like it's a cultural thing. It doesn't say in the Quran you have to eat biryani on Eid. It doesn't say the specifics like that. So there's a difference between culture and religion. I think that sort of the difference has increased, but people haven't realized that some of the things are cultural rather than religious. Like for example, a cultural thing that Muslim people is that it's more of that the girls don't get as much like respect or as much like worship growing up. I remember like my brother, he was like, girls are like required to stay in the kitchen and whatever, like, you know, housewives and stuff like that, but it doesn't say like you have to be a housewife. But I think it's just something that we've grown and we've accustomed to, and there's the only people who can change it are ourselves.
I want to highlight the sort of disparity between men and women in Islam without making it seem like a Muslim issue, because it's not like Islam doesn't say, oh, women are lesser, because like that's not true. That's just how these patriarchal structures in different countries have developed. So I guess that's kind of a Muslim issue, but at the same time it's just sort of a global issue. My problem with that, I guess, is when Muslim women speak out about that sort of disparity, you have people, non-Muslims, be like, oh, well, that's just because Islam's oppressive, and that's like not true.
Well, mental health. Specifically in the Muslim community, mental health really needs to be addressed, because a lot of people, like, they hear it, they don't know like how to apply it into their daily lives. They don't know how to seek help, how to be there for others.
As a Muslim, it's not just your job to worry about your own ummah and your own group across the world. So it's not just our job to worry about, you know, Syrians and Palestinians because they're Muslim, but it's also our job to worry about the Christians that are dying there because they're just people. And it's also our job to worry about students that are dying in Florida because they're just people. And as Muslims, we're supposed to worry about justice for all people. So it's not specifically a Muslim issue, but, you know, it's something that we do care about.
Do you ever like miss stuff in class because you can't hear through your hijab?
All the time.
Yeah,
oh
but it's
God.
not because of our hijab.
People, it's because Muslims don't have ears, but
that's a fact.
And the hijab is just there to hide the fact that we don't. So you know, it's really hard. It's just we learn to read.
The government's been keeping it a secret, but you know.
Attention! Are you ready for the action-packed flick that will blow your fucking mind away? Literally, because this one stars one of contemporary Hollywood's favorite antagonists, Arabs!
Those bearded nomads of the savage Middle Eastern deserts.
Prepare for an exciting journey into the heart of Islamophobia, where multi-purpose 1,500-year-old phrases like
Allahu Akbar
are exclusively used as pre-suicide bombing battle cries.
Where Osama bin Laden is the only available example of Muslim leadership.
Where the direct translation of the Quran is Introduction to Terrorism 101. Get ready to meet shallow black and white characters whose names all sound like and whose English vocabulary does not exceed a word beyond Death to America.
Embark with us on a not at all cliche journey starring Lieutenant Jack Smith,
the bold
and bald
U.S. Marine who will save us all from the enemies of democracy.
Watch in awe as Jack rampages across third world torn down locations that reinforce every single Fox News stereotype.
Witness him teach young children for the first time the true meaning of freedom and equality as he gracefully collaborates with the inept security forces of said exotic locations who will get shot and die before him.
But most importantly, watch him beat the absolute shit out of the bad guys.
Just a generic, scary-looking character.
But rest assured,
this no simple-minded tale of kicking ass and taking names. Brace yourself for an in-depth cultural analysis of these bland, monotonous peoples as Jack goes beyond the trenches,
exploring their daily lives,
experiencing the activities they take part in when they're not too busy terrorizing Western civilization. Things like
camel racing,
oppressing women,
and just being overall very, very sexually frustrated.
Brought to you from the visionary direction of some dude with an awesome name, a blank passport, and a firm conviction that Urdu and Farsi are nothing more than funny-sounding words.
Starring an incredibly hot, all-white cast and their one black or Hispanic guy who's really just there for diversity.
Indeed! You won't find this intensely, dare I say, explosive kind of production anywhere else. Not even in
buy your tickets now and further empower neo-Western imperialism.
Make it even more logical that for over 60 years, the only Arabic movie ever nominated for an Oscar was about Palestinian suicide bombers.
Replace the last 3,000 years of poetry,
Nationality.
Science.
and achievement with the 30-year existence of extremely specific fundamentalism that crushes countless lives of countless Syrians,
Afghanis, Egyptians,
Iraqis, Palestinians,
Algerians, and Iranians on a daily basis.
They make 9/11 look like a motherfucking back alley mucky. So what are you waiting for?
Go down to your local theater and enjoy the masquerade.
So, are you a Muslim, Muslim, or Mohammedanist?
Being American could mean anything. It shouldn't be limited to anything. You could be, I don't know, trans and black and, I don't know, Hispanic and everything in between and be American. I'm Muslim, brown. I wasn't born here, but I'm still American. I was raised here my entire life. This is what I know. I don't know anything else.
Every single person in America has their own way of achieving the American dream, and some people may think they have a better advantage some people have different political beliefs, but the fact that you're able to acknowledge all of that shows what a true American is.
Living in New York City, you don't necessarily always get the exposure to the constant discrimination that people that hijabis and Muslim women living in America always face. But it's important to keep in mind that while you're living here, especially being a youth, it's a very confusing time in terms of self-esteem. But being a hijabi woman, it's like, especially when you're young, it's kind of like when people are looking at you as if you're different and you already have these societal standards to look certain type of beautiful, and it's just it takes a toll on somebody's self-esteem, and if they don't have this proper community and support, then they won't be able to carry on to this journey that they have.
I would say I'm American. I mean, I was born here, I was brought up here. I definitely, I guess my marker of American is could I go back to my country of origin and really, I don't know, understand that atmosphere completely? And the answer is no. I understand the American atmosphere. I understand the America's atmosphere. I understand American TV shows, American media, American stuff.
I feel American, but mostly because I was born in America, born in New York City, and raised in New York City. I don't really have any other country that I could connect myself to, although my parents are from Bangladesh, and that has been a very large part of my upbringing. I can't just call myself Bengali without saying Bengali American, because I was raised here with these values around me.
At the same time, I don't think we should use American as kind of the peak point of our identity. America shouldn't be exclusive from us, but at the same time we should recognize that there's problems with America. And if there's a hadith that Islam came as something strange, and it will end as something strange, so God tidings to a stranger. If we're kind of different from America, then we should use our differences and take what's good from both things and use that for ourselves.
Does being American mean you always agree with what your country is doing or agree with what your politician is saying? No. But I think that's also another part of being American, just having the ability to critique your government, critique what's going on around you.
Basically, there's 3 different parts to being an American Muslim woman, because first of all, American Muslim is kind of an oxymoron in itself, because people look at you like you're not American, and especially if you're brown and people can tell by the color of your skin, you're okay, first of all, you're colored, second of all, you wear a hijab, and then third of all, you identify as an outspoken Muslim, so then you're kind of a target for a lot of people. They can come at you because you're a woman, they can come at you because you're not American, because you're Bengali like we are, and they can come at you because you're a terrorist because you wear this. So it's kind of you get attacked from a bunch of different sides, but you learn to deal with it and stuff, because obviously people who are going to say that to you aren't aware of what Muslims really are and what they're like and what they do. So you can't really take their judgment as something serious. You guys have to kind of brush it off.
Do you guys guys have like vitamin D deficiencies because you're not getting enough sunlight because of your hijab?
Okay, so nobody's supposed to know this, but like in every Muslim's basement, there's a tanning bed where when we're alone, we go and get the excess vitamin D because we can't really get it from the sun.
Do you often like sit by windows to get like your daily amount of vitamin D?
No, that's not allowed because someone might see us from outside, you know? And the windows are a liability.
So what happens is we actually cover all the windows with extra hijabs. So like what happens like when you like run out of a hijab and you're like, oh, it's like worn out and stuff, you're just like, add to my window collage.
My message is don't be reactionary. If you respond to something bad with something more bad, the nothing good can come out of it. So always like what you take in, try to turn it into something good. Not in a way that's like it ignores the bad thing, but in a way that it solves it.
I think it's try to stay true to yourself, no matter what forces like are around you, or what kind of peer pressure.
Be good, do good,
and it's keep really general. It's like a hadith, a quote from the Prophet ﷺ, and it's speak a good word or remain silent.
If the Muslims proper way, if they obey their religion, then peace will come into the world.
I follow the religion of love. Whatever way love's camels take me, that is my religion, and that is my fate.
So cute.